bring us back to our center. The best place to begin with breath work is to just take the time to notice your breath. You don't even have to change it. Just notice it. Get familiar with how you breathe, how your breath carries you through, how your body breathes and gives you oxygen, and how that oxygen comes to you and to your baby. So the best way to begin with breath work is to just notice your breath. I'll give you a couple examples. One is one of my favorites, and is a breath in to the count of 4 and a breath out to the count of 4. Remember, and when we're practicing breath, we keep a regular beat as we count. So instead of 1, 2, 3, it's more like 1, 2, 3, 4. Even just counting slowly helps our breath to slow down. But anyway, so that's one of my favorites. In to the count of 4 and out to the count of 4. And take note of how you feel afterwards. And you will find that the more you practice any type of breath work, when you find yourself in a situation where it may be stressful, you will find that you naturally begin to breathe in that way that you practiced. And what a beautiful thing, because it's going to help give you calm. It's going to help you become centered and feel more at peace. And it allows us to work through our little everyday stressors that much more easily. Okay, let's see what other little breath practice do I want to share for an example this time. Okay, so here's another one. A reminder of how our breath works in our body. So when we breathe in, our diaphragm, I don't know if you can see, our diaphragm fills up. It kind of fills up and moves down somewhat. And that motion within our chest, if you will, causes our bellies to expand a little. So the movement within our body, within our chest as we breathe, moves our bellies out. So one great thing to practice is relaxing our bellies, breathing, and just noticing that even if it's a slight movement of your belly moving out and back in, out and back in, your belly will move out a little as you breathe in, and it will go back in towards you as you breathe out. And you can do this anyway. You can do this lying down on your back. You can do it sitting up as I am now. But imagine filling your diaphragm with fresh, life-giving air. And it filling. Your belly allowing space for that air to come in. Exhale. You can see the diaphragm releasing a little. And then inhale again, it filling back up. Exhaling, releasing. And as you inhale and the diaphragm fills, then so your belly moves. And as you exhale, the same thing, your belly moves. It's a great way to feel connected to the different parts of our body. Just like in birth, in labor and in birth, yes, it's our uterus doing a lot of the work, but the rest of our body is working with it. So there's a couple breathing practices that you can get started with. Self-soothing techniques. There is one thing that my midwife did for me during my very first labor and birth, and I will always remember it. it was so, I mean, it couldn't have been more simple, but it gave me, it just brought me so much comfort, and it soothed me in a way I never thought was even possible. And I think that's part of labor, right? But what she did, I was on my hands and knees, I was on a bed, and I was leaning on a birth ball. Things were getting intense, and she took some powder and she sprinkled it on my back, and she gently rubbed it with her hand. And oh my, I mean, just wow, what a beautiful soothing technique. I guess it's not necessarily self-soothing, somebody's doing it for you, but what a beautiful soothing technique to have on hand during labor and birth. And maybe I remember it so much because it wasn't something that was talked about in birth classes. And, you know, powder wasn't something to like keep in your birth bag to have on hand to help you during your labor and birth. But it felt so good because, you know, labor's work. We sweat. It's the nature of it, okay? Labor and birth are wet in various ways. And the powder on my back dried up the sweat. And her hand in the powder just brought this beautiful softness in the moment. And it was just wonderful. So with that in mind, so keep that in mind. Practicing a soothing technique, whether it be yourself or your partner or a doula, or a best friend, or, you know, loving family member, taking time to practice those things now will, in the moment, help you to go, oh yes, I would like this, or I need this. So the powder on the back, that's not necessarily something you do yourself. It's something that somebody would do for you. But I had to share because it was just one of the best experiences of my life. Okay, self-soothing. Self-soothing techniques are things like affirmations, movement, what position your body is in, having physical comforts nearby, whether that be pillow, blanket, or a drink, having something to listen to, whether that be a loving partner or a family member, or or like a recording that you're listening to that's encouraging you. I mean, anything that brings you comfort is a self-soothing technique, or a soothing technique that a loved one can give to you. And again, you practice them now, so they're readily available in your mind, part of what you do, part of who you are. And you practice them now throughout your pregnancy, day to day, because then it just becomes what you do to help you. And then when you're in labor, it's already there. It's already there in your subconscious and in your conscious, and it's just going to bring it up. Your body is going to tell you, it's going to show you what you can do to help. If you practice these things on a daily basis, you are giving such a beautiful gift to yourself for when the time of labor and birth come. We practice conscious awareness because it brings us closer to who we are. It brings us closer to that inner self. And labor and birth is inner work. And that's why we practice it every day, as much as we can, so that we really can become in tuned with ourselves and with our bodies. And I'm not just talking the physical body, our mental and emotional selves expand and grow and shift during labor and birth. It is just like one of those times where in our lives where big changes happen, and not just the physical part of the baby moving through your body and out into your arms. I would like to share with you an experience I had in my last labor and birth. It was such a beautiful moment to recognize and to be aware of what was happening. So this is what happened. I was in transition, and I had been on my knees, kind of hands and knees, hands and leaning on a couch, and then I just decided to stand up. And I stand up, and I am saying, no, no, no more, no more, no more. And so you can imagine what I was saying no about, right? So everybody in the room, not everybody, but most people in the room or hearing this story might think she's saying no more to the contraction, no more to the hard work of labor. And I wasn't saying no to that at all. That was one thing I was saying, yes, yes, yes. Not out loud, but inwardly, like, yes, bring my baby to me, bring my baby to me. The no was about the hurt and the pain I've experienced in the past. And I was saying no to that. I was saying no more of that pain, no more, no more. And so in that moment during my labor, I got to have that release of pain and hurt that I carried with me. And in that moment is when I got to let it go. And it's just a beautiful thing for me to recognize that for myself. And that when I brought that baby into this world, I also helped myself so much. I was also relieved of other pain and suffering I have been carrying with me. Remember, you are born to do this. You are the boss of you, and you are worth quality care. If you liked this video, please like and subscribe. In the next video, I'll be talking about movement. Movements that you can do now during your pregnancy to help ready your body for labor and birth. And I'll also be sharing one movement that is particularly lovely for labor and birth itself. So until next time.